The most powerful lessons that I received were, I had a mentor in my master's program, so it was a formal institutional mentorship within that program. But he, started to kind of reflect back to me to say, well, Janet, you have this combination of skills that are unique. Most people either have this side or this side, but not like both together. You need to focus on that. So it was not about getting my thesis done, which was, his formal role, but it really, really helped me. It was not just that it was a compliment that I thought, oh, well, aren't I special? But, it kind of went like, okay, well, that, he recognized a strength in me that I hadn't identified or didn't recognize. And so that made me think, that's how I want to be, as a mentor to others. So, really trying to kind of read between the lines of what we're doing and, look for ways that I could be affirmative to the person. And I think that kind of, trust building is essential. So then, when I was in a role which was called a mentor as a dissertation supervisor, but it was called a mentor, and truly, in my case, was that broader role, just the way that because of, having that positive experience myself, I found that, I could be like tearing the person's stuff to shreds, and they would thank me because they trusted me and they knew that I had their best interest at heart. Whereas, if you had just done that as my job is to get your thing ready to publish or to get your dissertation ready to be accepted, then, the person might be going like, this person is, and she's so mean and, everything. Instead going like, she knows what quality is. And if mine's not measuring up, I'm going to go the extra mile because I want my stuff to be at that level of quality. So, there's that personal dimension that I think, has to do with trust, and sometimes, stepping outside of that formal role to reflect back to someone, something that might really help them to kind of understand themselves. Because, we're all, I read so many posts from people who are talking about imposter syndrome and about their just kind of, fear that, I'm not going to fit in. Somehow there's other people that are better than me. They've got it like I don't, So I think, as a mentor, starting to think like, well, if those are not qualities that I'm accustomed to, how can I practice those with my friends? Or how can I, what can I do to build up that, ability to be kind of frank and candid with someone in a way that's going to build their trust?
Yeah, I think the example, funny that you gave there, really reminds me of something a previous mentor said to me, where he said, I promise to always work in your best interest, but I can't promise that it will always feel good. And that sort of dovetails with the point I was thinking of in response to this question, which was, when you're first starting out and you think, you may stop and say, oh, shoot, what do I do? How do I make this work? You might start with just saying, well, what are some of the things that mentors have done with me that I felt were very helpful? And maybe I'll start doing that. The first, do what you've seen works, and later on worry about, figuring out your own style. And so I think, to the extent that you've had training experiences, mentoring experiences, and thought, oh, here, sit down and say, what was helpful for me? And start by offering those. If you feel like you have nothing else available, just pair it. And that might get you at least started. And then you can start figuring some of this other stuff out.
Well, Aiden, I will say I agree totally with you. And the other thing that's helped me is to think about things that people have said to me that didn't really help. And I said, nope, never doing that. And so
Mhm.
I've also learned
I wouldn't know
that
anything
way.
about that.
Oh,
No.
I'm
I'm
sure
just kidding.
we've all had those experiences where it's like, well, that didn't work out. And so that kind of helps you to know how we know how
Yeah,
we
and-
want to be treated. And, that helps.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, right. Put yourself in that seat, and but I think, like Maithe is saying, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to miscalculate, and
Mhm.
we're going to do something that doesn't feel good, and that shouldn't make you freeze, not engage in a mentoring relationship, but we all make mistakes, and being willing to acknowledge it at some point and saying, yeah, no, I dropped the ball there, or I failed to meet or your expectations or something, or I made a suggestion that was a bad one, and that is part of it too. And it, it's a cliche, but it's less about not making mistakes, but more about what do you do when they happen, because they're going to come up.